Hey, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning,
Maybe
Spence.
give it another minute. Hey, good morning. We'll give it just a little bit more to see if we get anybody else to join so that we can. I don't plan on taking a whole lot of time this morning. Just going to go over a couple edits from the report I sent out. And that's all my plan is, unless you all have other things you want to discuss about it. But like I said, we'll just give it another minute and then we'll get going.
Spence, this is Jeff. I have a couple things I'd like to just talk about. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to feed this stuff to you, so it's not major stuff, but I'll wait till we'll go through your edits and then I'll just raise a couple issues.
Of course. So I will admit I'm a rookie to actually using. I'm on a lot of WebEx stuff, but I've never actually shared. Can you all? I'm assuming you can see my screen. Okay, thanks. All right, well let's go ahead and get started. So I went in. I did get some edits from some people, and I went in and just made some word changes or added a word here or there, or just some minor corrections because I thought they made sense. So I did that, just the busy work of it, and then so what I've got highlighted are some Jennifer gave some other suggestions on what should be added or some suggested additions, and so I've highlighted those, as you can see here in the pinkish whatever color. So to me, either way, we can add that. I think the language on that first paragraph there, I just had, I think, SB or HB 2077. Jennifer suggested addition of the charge of KSA. I guess just a thumbs up, or if you like that addition, or just keep it. Okay. See some nods, so we'll go ahead and keep that in there. Let me unhighlight that.
Hey, Spence, this is Shelly.
Okay.
I'm on the phone, just
Shelly?
wanted to let you know. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Moving down, Shelly recommended bolding the word "not" right here, just to make it a little more. Okay. 1, 2.
Yeah, I had to read that twice because I thought, wait a minute, what are we doing?
Yeah. So we will keep that, and then again, keeping with with Jennifer's recommendation about showing the actual statute and not just the House bill numbers, what do you guys think of the next colored section there? Yeah, go ahead, Jennifer.
It's wrong. I told you the wrong statute. It should be.
My
It
goodness.
It should be. I was thinking of special rules apparently when I wrote that, because it really should be 6608, right?
Yeah.
So sorry, that's just the wrong
Oh, that's
statute.
good catch. I'm glad you said that.
Yes, it is 6608.
Yep. Good. Thank you for pointing that out. All right. So I think we like that as well. Then keeping it, then it'll be consistent throughout the whole.
Can I ask you a question, Spence?
Yes.
When I was looking at the draft of the proportionality subcommittees thing, they actually attached bills. Do you attach bills to your report?
So what I did is I followed how I did my report last year with the commission, and we didn't. I think the subcommittees, some did, some didn't. I don't know, since we kind of list what's in the bill if it's necessary. I think revisers can pull that if legislators want to see specifically. So my thinking is not to, but if you all think I should have just include or attach the full statutes, I can certainly do that.
I don't. I just was thinking that if you did that as well, then this would be duplicative, but now it's not. And by the way, the mistake I made is now throughout. So every time it says 6804,
it should be
6608. 6608, but the D part is right, and so is the letters after that.
Right. So
I think,
and then so I again just yep, go ahead.
Sorry, I think you did a great job listing the excerpts from the statute. It clarified things for me, so I think that was really a good job, and not necessarily include the statute.
So then following through, what I had is I just highlighted in yellow. I just had the House bill section of what was listed, the updates that's currently pending. Jennifer again recommended changing it, for instance, on page 2 to 3, amending KSA. Do you guys like that language better? It doesn't matter to me. If we just want to just reference the House bill or reference the statute, I guess is the difference.
So yeah, I mean, if it makes it clunkier, then skip it. I mean, I have no idea if somebody's going to be looking at this report with the bill next to them, so it might be dumb to give the page numbers.
Thoughts, anybody?
I guess I don't know whether or not they're going to have the bill next. I don't know which they're going to have when they're looking at it, and which is easier to reference.
Let me ask Senator Haley, as he just joined us. As a legislator, would you prefer in this bill? I've referenced House Bill 2084, which is currently sitting in House Corrections and Juvenile Justice. Would you prefer to see the House bill number or the statute that the House bill is amending when you are reading through a report like this?
Well, then thanks for asking. They are going to, the reviser will go back over the statutory where everything fits when it comes in. So as the bill is tweaked, in this case, it may even end up changing its number, depending on where it might dovetail with other legislation that's going in. I think the statute is more consistent with ultimately what the language or how the language will look, and not necessarily the bill number.
Okay. So with that, everybody, so with that, why don't we go ahead and I will keep it as what's redlined there in the red, and just list it that way if everybody is good with that. Or I can list HB 2084 as, or, you know, make it so it's HB 24 section D on pages 2 and 3? I mean, should I keep it all so it's referencing both, or just you just want to leave it as the red line?
I guess I defer to what Senator Haley thinks is most helpful.
If I might, what they call the belts and suspender. Well, and I appreciate your asking. And again, it's going to be, depending on how the committee and the reviser will add to the knowledge when it's there. But what do they call it? Belts and suspenders. To have both of them there certainly would not hurt in the approach to it. To have because of the screen I have, not because of the presentation.
All right, thank you for that. I appreciate your insight. So what I will do then is I will go ahead and keep both of those in there, and just add a conjunction in the middle so that it references a little bit better. Does that sound good to everybody? And I'll do that throughout. As you can see on each one of these, it's kind of the same thing. I'll go in and clean up the statute numbers, so I make sure it's referenced right.
Yeah.
And then I will just make those changes. Moving, yes.
Okay, sorry. So
you're fine.
By the way, I think the only way that it's referenced wrong, you've already fixed there at the top. And for what it's worth, which is arguably not much, but my thought was by adding, or I guess it was already there, in 2, it says as proposed in House Bill 2084. I mean, I think that means if you want to strike all the references to, repeating 2084 in A, B, C, anyway, it doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm just being too much of an editor. It's fine.
I think, that's a good point that it's referenced up above, that as proposed in 2084. I think that's a great point that I didn't think about, that we can just have it referenced right there, and then state the sections of the statute specifically. So then it is still listed both ways. Anybody else have an opinion? And if I hear no silence, that's just what we'll move with. Or if I hear silence, that's what we'll move with. Okay. All right. Okay. And then so scrolling down, I did hear back from a couple of you that we should go ahead and include something language to make this retroactive, which I think makes sense as well. So I added number 6 there. Early termination for probation shall be retroactive. Do you think it needs to be worded any different? I think that's very simplistic and can be wordsmithed at the revisers if needed.
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's good. Simple is better.
Yes, I agree. Randy suggested I had put in here the red line part, and I'll tell you why I did that. I didn't specifically say the carry group, even though I know DOC did that. I did that thinking of OJA because I want to make sure it's possible. I think, because it comes down to contracts and finances. And so that's why I worded it that way. I agree it'd be better for everybody to use the same, but I just wanted to make sure it was possible. But as just one person here, if you all think just do the highlighted blue, that's fine with me too. I will go with the group consensus. But I want to that's why I did the red line section there the way it is.
So Spence, this is Jeff. So that was one issue that I was going to raise.
Okay.
I have a couple issues in that section, and I agree with Randy. I think we should recommend that,
Okay.
if everybody agrees, as you have in the blue there.
Okay. Anybody else have an opinion? I certainly, again, I just wanted to raise that issue that I want to make sure it's possible, and But I'm good with doing it this way.
Yeah, since this is Randy or Garrett, again, my thought was just that if we have different data systems, we're going to continue to have problems with programs not working together. And if we could use the same one, I think it'll be better for us in the long run.
And again, I did that, you know, as thinking of OJA just to make sure. However, if this moves through, you know, there'll be others that can raise those concerns with legislation, and they can propose changes if needed. So I will go ahead and I'm going to unhighlight the blue so that I know we'll just do it this way. Did you have anything else on that, Jeff?
Yeah, in section A, right below there.
Yeah. Yes.
So it says OJA and KDOC will collaborate on an incentive structure to be used within the system. So just a couple points. There's an incentive structure already developed in there, and I'm told that each judicial district can tailor some individualized responses. I guess I'm comfortable if everybody wants to stay with collaborate, but maybe it is, you know, utilize the existing structure and as it is. And then the other piece, that language under A reads collaborate on incentives. How about collaborate on incentives and responses to violations? If we're going to collaborate on it.
No, I had considered that. And I think the only reason I left out sanctions was just due to our charge of only doing incentives. I have no issue though, but that's why I left it that way.
Okay.
If we want to include and sanctions, that's fine. I don't mind including that because I know it's a two-part system.
I'll defer to you guys. You guys are living it more than I am.
I would agree with Secretary Zamuda on that. If it can be tailored to each jurisdiction, I think we're better off because Sedgwick and Johnson County are going to look much different than Western Kansas. So if 4-to-1 behavior management is set up that way, I think we just go with what's in the system rather than asking OJ and KDOC to do all the work. Might be better at the local jurisdiction level.
And I'm going to scroll down here because I did add something else. Down here, I had this highlighted and I kind of cleaned it up a little, talking about the sanctions and incentives. The same strategy was used for juveniles in Kansas with OJ and KDOC collaborating to create a sanction and incentives grid. And then I listed where that statute there specifically talks about DOC and OJA putting together that grid. And so that's why I did it up above. You know, I don't mind having it done on the local jurisdiction level. I would also like to see consistency, right? So I think that's a fine line between, you know, having it tailored for each individual district and then or having a statewide system and maybe being able to do both somehow, right? Could we do a collaboration for a base structure or something of that can also be tailored per district? And if we do it that way, do we make recommendations on how that's tailored? Is it done by community corrections and court services on a local level that they collaborate, or what is the wording that we use for that?
Well, looking back, Spence, maybe the way you have it is actually the best way to do it. Just leave it up to KDOC and OJA, and then they can decide how we do it at each, you know, how they do it from there. So instead of trying to micromanage that, let's just leave it up to OJA and KDOC. We'll just leave it for them.
And yeah, and you know, with the way it's worded, a structure, right? So that structure could include specific recommendations as well as wording to local jurisdictions being able to tailor it. So I think that could be the overall, the upper tenant going down to the juvenile tenant working on how that should look. What do you think of that? And I'm sorry, I should call you Mr. Secretary.
You don't.
I apologize.
Well, let's don't do that. You don't need to do that. No, that sounds good to me. That sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. So then we'll leave.
This is Stephanie with CSG. I just wanted to voice that I fully agree with where you guys are going on this. Also, I wanted to mention too that CSG had an awesome opportunity to speak with the Chief Justice and her staff just a couple of days ago and talk to her about this as well. And she was supportive of it and supportive of us providing our assistance with any training that we can for both OJA and KDOC, so that everyone actually understands this incentives and sanctions structure and how to apply it consistently across supervision entities. And so including both incentives and sanctions, I think makes a lot of sense, because we're never going to find a curriculum for you guys that only trains on incentives. So I think incentives and sanctions would be really appropriate, and for all the other reasons too that Secretaries Amuda and Randy have listed out, and yourself, Spence.
Stephanie, can you hear me?
I can, Shelley.
Hi. So when I talked about seeing this early on, I think in Virginia, but don't if they're automated, don't they kind of start with a structure with basic recommendations for incentives and sanctions, and then you can build upon it, and that's where we could add in the local jurisdiction stuff?
Absolutely, Shelley. So the Cary Guide comes with kind of a matrix that can be used as a base model, but it can be grown and tailored to the individual needs of the state or of the district using the system. One of the nice things about it, I think, Spence, I was super happy to hear you mention the consistency. And that's, one of the kind of running themes that we've seen along this process of the Reform Commission this time around was the need to improve consistency across systems. And so I think that's a really great opportunity to do that and to kind of bring all of the different supervision entities, KDOC, community corrections, court services, kind of under one kind of approach to supervision. This is a big part of that. So I think starting with a kind of a base matrix and then getting some agreement on that, and then kind of working with the individual districts to see what they might need to add additionally. And the other thing too is that the matrix isn't meant to be, I just want to make sure we're clear here kind of on record, is that it's not actually meant to be like you go from the first sanction, let's just say, to sanction 2 to sanction 3 to sanction 4. The ranges are actually provided with, here's 3 things to respond with as the first violation. Here's some options of sanctions from like 4 to 6 for the second violation. So it gives you the flexibility of selecting a sanction that actually is meaningful for the client, and gives you the flexibility of the officer to respond to your resources, to what your judge prefers, things like that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on this section then from anybody? Okay, great. So looking down again, the only other thing I changed from what I sent to you guys was this, and I don't have to include this. I just, like I said, I included the statute number here of where the previous language was. So if they wanted to reference that and see how it was worded, that it's there. So do we agree that that's a pretty simplistic statement again on how that works?
Yep.
Okay. And that's it then. Does anybody else have anything they think should be added or anything else, I guess, regarding this? Yeah. No, Stephanie. Nope. Nope. We're done. We're done. Go ahead, Stephanie.
I think you're actually, my comment is going to actually amuse you, Spence. The only comment I have, first of all, I want to commend your level of work on this. This was exciting to read through, Spence, and to see all of this come together in one document after the months of work was just, it was really, I don't know. I was just very excited. I shared with my coworkers here the awesome kind of recommendations that you all have come together on. The only thing I have is just a simple request, and legislative research might catch this, is that you can actually remove me from your list of members. I am actually not a member of the subcommittee. I'm not even technically an ad hoc member. And so You can, I looked at the first final report from the commission. CSG is not listed anywhere, so I'm happy if you want to take me out.
You know, and so here's my thinking, because I have all of our ad hoc members. I think you basically are an ad hoc member, because when we created this committee, we talked about stakeholders and including that, and you have given a lot of insight on this. And I personally think you should be included. I will even just change it to an ad hoc member. But I will let everybody else decide if we want to include Stephanie on this or not. You know, you've been a big help, so I'm good with listing you as an ad hoc member. Okay. All right, you're staying in, Stephanie.
Well, I appreciate it, all of you. This has been an awesome experience to work with you guys and see this come together. Like I said, I'm really excited by what's coming forward from this subcommittee and the work that it's going to actually bring together with the other subcommittees. I think in combination, this is going to be some really great things for Kansas supervision. So very excited to be even a small part of it.
And this is Shelley. I just want to echo what Stephanie said, since I thought the report was well written and well put together, and you did an awesome job on it. So good work.
Thank you. I will admit, I went through and just did it the same way I did my report last year. So I wanted just to keep it very standard, because that's what we used. And so I appreciate your guys' words on that. I question myself a lot, but I appreciate y'all taking a look at this. What I will do is I'll make those amendments. I will send it out to everybody. Honestly, I've got several other meetings today, so I don't know if I'll get to it today. And then I will submit this on Monday to the full to Natalie and to Chairman Bennett. So if when you get it, I'll wait a few hours before I submit it, because I think we have till no specific time till end of business, I'm gonna say on Monday. So if you see something else as you read through that you think, you know, you see just some little edits, let me know, and I'll make those corrections before I send it in. Otherwise, thank you everybody for your work on this. I think, you know, we're like Stephanie stated, we're getting somewhere where we can get a little more consistent between agencies, and I think that's a really good thing. That collaboration is good. You know, it's community corrections and court services. It's often said have competing interests, but you know, we're all serving the same individuals and we're doing the same work. And I think having more consistency helps with overall relationships statewide. And I think we're going somewhere good with all of this stuff.
Yep.
So thank you, Senator Haley, for hopping on all these meetings as well. I appreciate your insight and hearing what we have to say. So, all right, everybody.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I'm not able to video in. Thank you. Of course, appreciate what you're doing in the final.
Yeah, right. You're right. It's an officer, so they're captains.
Thank you. All right, everybody. I guess I'll see you all at our next full meeting then, or
great job.
These
Great
later
job.
meetings today.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Thanks, Vince.